Well, hello there and good morning. Welcome to Live from Currituck Extension. My name is Billy Caudle, and I'm a Currituck County 4-H Program Assistant. Now, on today's episode of Live from Currituck Extension, we're going to cover how to make delicious squash fritters, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. But before we begin, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications. That will let you know when we post new videos or go live. If you have any questions during our presentation, please type them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. If you're watching the recording of this presentation and you have questions, you can email us or call us. Our information and contact sources can be found in the description below. So, earlier in the season, we did a little video about planting a victory garden and another video, a follow-up to that. And the victory garden was planted at your house or in your neighborhood. And we found out that a lot of folks around our area planted gardens, small, large, and a lot of people just really got into gardening this year. Probably the pandemic had a lot to do with that, as people were searching for fun activities and things to do while we were all mostly at home during the spring and summer. And perhaps people got a little bit concerned about food shortages, since you would go to the grocery store and there were, a lot of bare shelves. So one of the items that I planted this year and that we planted over here was yellow squash or summer squash. The variety we planted was called crooked neck squash. And we planted those in a victory garden. We also planted them here in our Currituck garden. And I got to tell you, I have eaten a lot of squash this year. I've had it stewed. I've had it fried. I've had it in casseroles. And I do love squash, but frankly, I was getting a little bit tired of squash. But then a friend of mine, my friend Diane, brought me over something new I had never tried. It was called squash fritters. They look like pancakes, little pancakes, but they were fried and they were delicious. I mean, really delicious. And they're easy to make. So those two things are important to me, being delicious and easy to make. Because if I've got to cook, it needs to be pretty easy. So I thought I would share how to do this with you, so that you might have something else to do with your squash, because you probably have an abundance of it like I did. And if you're a young person, this might be a good opportunity to help add a meal to your house or add to the meal at your house. And if you're an adult, you could do the same. It's not a meal in itself, but it certainly does add a great side item. So there's only a few ingredients, and the prep time is short. And most of the prep time involves having to grate the squash and the onion. So the ingredients, and I have listed the ingredients in the description below. You can click on that and it'll give you the full recipe. So that's where it is. I'm not going to have a slide on that, but you need squash. You need about half of an onion, a cup of all-purpose flour, 1 egg, a half teaspoon of sugar, and a half teaspoon of salt. And you mix all that together. But first, you've got to grate your squash, and you've got to grate your onion. Okay? And we're going to watch a little video that I did at home. It's not very long. That'll show you how to do all this and show you how to make squash fritters. So I encourage you to watch it and see what you think. So here we go. There's another. Squash, and this is a good way to get rid of squash because it's very abundant. Okay. So you need about a pound of squash, I'm going to back this up to make sure we can get this going again and do it right. So here we go.
Another way to cook squash, and it's called fritters. And my friend Diane brought some over to me, and they were fantastic. So I decided I was going to learn how to make fritters, and I was going to show you how to do it as well. There's a few things you need. Obviously, you need some squash, and this is a good way to get rid of squash. It's very abundant when you start growing. So you need about a pound of squash, a half of a sweet onion, and you grate those up using a grater or a box grater. I just have a small one like this. So you will also need an egg. You need a little sugar and a little salt. And of course, you're going to need some oil to fry these in. I use canola oil because it's a little bit more healthy. So to save a little bit of time, I have already grated up the onion and the squash, and here it is right here. Now, one of the things you're supposed to do is you're supposed to smush this to get some of the excess water out. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just taking my mixing bowl and pushing down on this, and that is putting a lot of liquid into this pan under it. Okay, so you do that, then I guess you need to clean off your bowl there. So now we're ready to mix up our fritters. So once you do this, you combine your squash, your grated squash with your grated onion. You put in 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 egg, and you're supposed to put in a half of a teaspoon of sugar and a half teaspoon of salt. And there you go. Now, what you do is you mix this up, and you mix it up well. And once it's done, you're going to let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. It kind of looks one way when you get it mixed, but after you leave it sit there for a while, it'll look a lot more like batter. Okay, now that we have had a little bit of time, our batter has had time to sit and get a little bit more like a batter. So what we did next is we added some canola oil to a skillet, barely covering it. This is not like a deep amount of oil. It's just enough to cover the bottom. And we allowed our oil to get hot. Once it's hot, we're going to drop in about that much batter. And we'll cook 3 to 4 minutes on one side, and then we'll flip it and we'll cook 3 to 4 minutes on the other side. So we'll let those cook 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll flip them, smush them down a little bit, and cook them on the other side. Okay, so some of these have already come off, and I put them on a plate with some paper towels to help drain them a little bit. And here's some that are cooking now. They've already been flipped, and they are just wonderful. So let me encourage you to try this, but what makes them even better is if you want to put your own little dipping sauce with it. So I've tried various different things. Some people like ranch dressing. I've seen people use honey mustard and various things. I like a little ketchup now and then. And on this tray, there were 4. Now there's only 3. So I'm going to dip this one just a little bit. This is really good.
Really good.
I challenge
you
right now.
You right now
Make yourself
to make yourself a fan
squash fritters.
squash fritters. You're
Thank
gonna
you for
love it.
joining once again.
Thank you for joining.
Caudle,
Once again, this is Billy Caudle, program assistant with the Currituck County Cooperative Extension Office.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for watching.
And I hope you have a great
And I hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And I want to really encourage you to give it a try and to make some squash fritters, because I'm telling you, they really, really are good. And be sure to check out the recipe that is linked in our description down below, and give them a try. One of the program notes on this, they said, for a little different flavor, you can add about a half a teaspoon of curry powder to the batter. When mixing it up, it'll give a little bit of kick. So you can do it. You can add and subtract to it as you see fit. But it's a great thing to try. So that's all for today's episode of Live from Currituck Extension. And if you have any questions, we will finish answering those now. I don't see any in the chat right now. But if not, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications. You can click the description below for links from our class, our social media sites, and our evaluation for today's class. This evaluation helps us to improve our classes, and we use your suggestions to create future content. So next week's class, or next week's presentation, will be story time called Buddy Bear with Sheila Gregory, who is our FCS program assistant. So don't forget to tune in next week at 11:30. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.